Genre is an agreed set of features, conventions, and meanings which are understood by both producer and audience and can be either fulfilled or subverted by producers. All genres have subgenres. My band, Taking Back Winter, stands within the alternative indie genre and adheres to its conventions more frequently than not. Most audiences would expect indie music to go against the norm and deliver something weird, like with Panic at the Disco's La Devotee music video. My release package does hold parallels to conventions of its genre, such as performance. It's very common for artists in the indie genre to do a live performance of their music video, making the main focus on them as performers doing what they love, as the genre itself was never about success and more about music. However, the lip-syncing elements of my video do subvert typical conventions in that the band aren't performing by playing instruments and are solely singing into the camera, which effectively focuses the video on the story rather than the music itself. Recently though, music videos often synergize with a narrative included in between performance clips to give a story for the audience, making it more memorable. A narrative video leaves room for the imagination, which is exactly what I wanted to achieve in my own music video, leaving the narrative slightly ambiguous in order for each audience member to take their own interpretation from it. I can also see how narrative videos grab people's attention in comparison to live performance videos due to either the plot of the ever-changing scenery, costumes, etc. keeping people entertained. Even those who aren't a fan of the artist may still appreciate the storyline and the visuals of the video. Yet, when doing more narrative-driven videos, mise-en-scene becomes a much larger player in music videos, especially the indie genre. Certain indie artists often have a retro look, and this can be created through the sets they use, props, and also their own appearance themselves. My artist Lizzie May is portrayed in 1950s attire, wearing bright dresses with cute hairdos. Costumes give people their identity and sets them apart from the rest, which is why I created such a difference between the members through their outfits. In every photo shoot, Lizzie May wore bright floral 1950s style dresses, whereas Alex Kemba wore black jeans and a leather jacket. Sound is obviously very important. Different effects can be added to the music to either distort it, fade it, or so on, in order to convey different emotions in the video or even different characters. Diegetic sounds are sometimes used to help set the scene, although my music video uses a certain almost discordant instrumental of the opening music behind the initial sequence, which sets the scene for the rest of the story within my music video. Other indie music videos have been known to do something similar, as Panic at the Disco themselves did in their music video for Bittersweet, having the song playing at first as if coming out of a phone before changing to the full song. In indie music videos, close-ups are common shots used to introduce characters or the artist into the video. Long or establishing shots are also typical shot types used to show the setting and give a clear view of the artist and or actors. This is important as a lot of artists are seen as style icons and therefore need to be seen fully in their music videos. However, this in particular does not apply to my band, which is why any shots of the band performing vary around mid to close-up, as they aren't style icons. However, the setting of my music video has a vital need for costume to be on display, which is why I have incorporated many long shots within the narrative rather than with the performance clips. Although panning shots make the setting clear to the audience, I didn't use many moving shots such as these because I felt the still establishing shots were more effective with the rest of my concept. Editing is now relied on a lot, especially in the indie genre, to give music videos an old-fashioned effect. Effects are often added over the top of music videos to make them look old and worn, like they were being played from old tapes, which is very much something I have tried to do with my own videos, especially in the opening. Although the rest of the music video didn't have any flickering tape overlays or a sepia effect, the colour corrections gave it a more authentic appearance, while the opening complemented the old-fashioned effects well. Also, fast cuts between shots reflect the pace of the music and link with it well, as pointed out by Goodwin's conventions. Linking the music with the visuals, pacing-wise, is something I definitely tried to exploit, using fast cuts to each lyric syllable and cutting to scenes to fit with the lines of the chorus, which effectively intertwine the music and the narrative. But that was just within my music video. For my CD pack and website, I went with an entirely photographed theme, no cartoons or album artwork. Based off examples I looked at, photography is often used to show sincerity, such as revealed in my brief textual analysis on Harley Blue's Forget Me Not. This is why both my CD pack and website backgrounds use photographs, although in my own spin on things I use more images of the actress in my music video. not just to show continuity across all features of the release package, but also to deliver that added mystery during the build-up to the release. Questions like, who is she? What does she mean? All keeping audiences intrigued and interested in the release. When comparing this to conventions of my particular genre, just hopping on over to Panic at the Disco's website will uncover how indie bands typically use performance photographs, though some posed images are used also. The dark backgrounds and artist images parallel closely to what I have achieved in my own website, and therefore I don't believe I have strayed too far from any typical conventions, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Conforming to conventions such as these helps audiences establish genre, so they can quickly identify a band's image and infer whether they want to find out more or not. Audiences that are already interested in the genre would be drawn in by these familiar conventions, whereas new interest may be sparked by its mysterious outlook. Not only this, but to apply Goodwin's conventions to my music video, I have intertextual references to stereotypical representations of period dramas, using Egyptian, Pirate, Victorian and Flapper to demonstrate the idea of moving through history. I also employed close-ups of the band during moments where the lyrics wanted emphasis, not the narrative. But the link between the lyrics and the visual shows a darker tone to the lovers' relationship, and reveals more ambiguous themes about the circumstances around the narrative. My narrative structure is based off a linear narrative, in the sense that the passage of events all happen in a chronological manner, the meeting, the realization, the retreat, fitting well with the conventions of songs which tend to have resolution, much like a novel or a film, with my own narrative ending ambiguously as Alex stops her retreat. But the interlinking of each era is told in a non-linear way, through the use of flashbacks and parallel editing between eras, making the story flow differently than conventional drama narratives might. The music videos I researched as part of my textual analysis helped a lot with certain decisions I made, not only with the music video, as despite my music video idea being an on-the-spot epiphany, I had absolutely no indication what to do for the CD packet or website. However, completing these analyses assisted my process greatly. After looking at the 8th grade example from my school, I knew I wanted to do a photography-based CD pack. My problem was simply finding a theme, as I didn't want to focus too much on the music video's premise and end up with an EP-looking release package. So at first I played with the idea of photography, but with additional edited elements, yet disliked the too dark look it had once completed. Then I changed my idea to one that revolved more naturally around the band and the concept of the album, and I believed it had the desired effect. Safe to say the professional examples I analysed intimidated me greatly, however I think mine actually fits well amongst these, and doesn't appear too homemade compared to the professional examples. I wanted to keep a strong continuous theme throughout my entire package, which is why I edited the website photos in a similar way to the CD photos. After looking at certain band websites and evaluating the Panic at the Disco site, there were certainly very prominent themes between this and their latest album. And while focusing on the commodity of music, it still managed to remain fun with elements like merchandise and interviews. The balance is difficult to execute, but it is something I feel I attempted well, as the image for my artist fits with the fun but serious vibes like these. Yet, as I said before, the idea for my music video was simply the synthanasia response to the music as I was half asleep on a car journey home when Miss Jackson came on. That's not to say what I have now is exactly what I started with. I took some inspiration on era from music videos such as The Ballad of Mona Lisa and the eventual idea for the plot from the old myth of the Holy Grail. My idea to edit the lip-sync parts the way I did was taken after watching Andy Grammer's Honey I'm Good music video. As far as the inspiration I took from my textual analysis, the ideas of using sin as a theme, as used in Blood, Sweat and Tears, really stood out to me. Based on the low-key lighting used to illustrate the image of the bird and the constant repeated symbolic semicodes related to drug use, I developed my idea to use the myth of the Holy Grail to open my music video, giving my product a more dramatic film feeling, which is what I intended from the start. In the Japanese music video as well, the narrative makes reference to drinking from a cup, which, although it may sound strange, gave me the idea to do the close-up shot as the two lovers drink from the chalice. I also love the idea of breaking the fourth wall in Baby. They created this amazing niche world within their video, giving the audiences the illusion of being with the band, only to shatter it completely. This made me want to incorporate elements of breaking the fourth wall. Although I had no desire to break the diegesis I had crafted, I did decide to incorporate a handful of close-up shots that look directly into the camera within the narrative scenes. Those two individual close-ups show the lovers making the decision to drink from the chalice in order to remain immortal together. But mostly from these music videos, I enjoyed their narratives, and wanted to create a narrative for my own music video that both captures, yet confuses my audience, as these examples did. The strong diegesis crafted within both of these videos was something that heavily impressed me. The darkness within Blood, Sweat and Tears inspired me to play with the idea of jilted lovers, using low-key lighting and period drama elements to offer that darker, dramatized atmosphere to my music video. Of course, the narrative within Baby had no direct reflections within my product, as this concept was slightly too cute to fit with my theme, but the idea of creating a strong narrative stuck with me throughout the process. These typical elements are vital because they help establish genre. Although Altman argues audiences are becoming tired of the same old formula and genre is only surviving due to hybridization, I would argue that audiences still like to attach themselves to a certain genre and then branch out from there. Although tastes are now a lot more progressive and less cult-like in their possible restrictions, I find people still tend to start with a particular genre first. My music video uses intertextuality to period dramas with broad stroke generalizations of each era in order to communicate to audiences the exact time being portrayed simply through the mise-en-scene, wasting no time with introductions and clarifications. This demonstrates why broad stroke stereotypes are important for the audience to understand what is being shown, but also to follow my intended preferred meaning of the narrative. Stuart Hall's reception theory conveys how different people will take differing ideas from the same content. However, using stereotypes to quickly establish characters and setting helps to solidify certain meanings early on. When it comes to deliberating on whether I did anything new or different, I don't believe I have been overly adventurous in my narrative elements. Simply looking over at stories such as Romeo and Juliet or even the Vampire Diaries novels reveals similar ideas of star-crossed lovers, and I am certainly not the first person to use half lighting on my face for lip syncing, as Get Scared have used a similar effect during Don't You Dare Forget the Sun, where the lead singer is low-key lit as he sings behind bars. But the fact that these tropes may have been used before is of no real importance, as sticking to conventions or using old ideas isn't necessarily a negative. I believe what I have created through using these ideas is something which is fun and engaging to audiences, who will appreciate the narrative, the visuals, and the music all at once. I have found, however, that my innovations within my release package have worked effectively to draw in my audience, as seen in my audience feedback. Around 3/4 of my focus group expressed a desire to watch the video again, with many of them quickly connecting with the video, pointing out their favourite aspects with enthusiastic comments such as super hot outfits used throughout. The fact that I was able to draw people in enough to invoke enjoyment speaks to how my innovation successfully intrigued viewers, even gaining enough attention to create small discussions on the ambiguous narrative depicted. Although the varying interpretations were similar, no two were identical, which provokes ideas on how the ambiguity of my music video triumphantly created a product that was personal to all who enjoyed it, and thereby eliciting greater emotional responses to viewers, who are then more likely to follow the artist for more content that fed their imaginations. As I wanted, although my preferred meaning is still prevalent throughout my music video, the ambiguity of the narrative allowed for many differing negotiated interpretations to shine through. One piece of audience feedback suggested that the lovers drank the water to die and make sure they met again in different lifetimes, but there was a rift between the two characters because she didn't want to stay there anymore as it's too painful. Allowing audiences to take away their own theories from the music video is something I wanted from the beginning, as this then creates a conversation between viewers discussing their own interpretations and keeping their interest in the band alive. Especially with 15 to 21-year-olds, as these digital natives are much more likely to post about it on social media, spreading the conversation worldwide and not just amongst their classmates.
Congratulations.